Hi, everybody. David Nagel. I want to wish you a happy new year, and I want to give you a warning. This is a very dark topic that we're going into today. So you may want to make sure that there's no children around that can hear it until you've previewed it first. But I think that this podcast just might change your life. Hello, welcome. Happy New Year. It is 2021. And we are hoping that everybody had a wonderful transition from 2020 to 2021. And we're really hoping that 2021 is going to be a better place and a better world for a lot of people. And that brings me to the theme of the first podcast of the year. How can we contribute to something to make it a better world for our children? At the end of 2020, I mean, right at the end of 2020, I was doing some research on a bunch of topics, and I was deep in a few books that have nothing to do with the topic for today, by the way. But I have this. This is a sidetrack. Like, first of all, my brain may get a little sidetracked during this. This is kind of a heavy topic. As I was doing this research, and I was working on a weekend, I got this information about something called Operation Underground Railroad from two separate sources in the same day, and I was told a couple of stories that really brought me to tears, and I immediately stopped what I was doing and I wanted to get some more information. So I went to the website, I checked it out a little bit. I talked to somebody that is affiliated with this. And I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea the problem existed to the scale of what I'm going to contribute with you tonight. And, the thing is that, yes, this is a heavy topic, but I also think that it's a way for us to contribute to the world in a way where people are not recognizing we need contribution. The topic of today's podcast is child sex trafficking and human trafficking. And there's an organization that was started by Tim Ballard probably about 8 years ago, I think, something like that. Don't quote me on that. I might be off a little bit. I will fully admit that I am getting oriented on this topic myself, but I'm moving fast on it because I think it's so vitally important. So Tim worked for our government and was involved in some stings for child sex trafficking in the very early days when we were really just finding out the horrors of it and how bad it was, and was initially in the beginning of building out how do we rescue these children. Then kind of found out that our hands were tied as a government, our hands were tied in resources. And he felt it really called on his heart that he would step out on his own and start an organization that he titled Operation Underground Railroad, which he is the head of and the CEO of today, rescuing children from all over the world. So my mission on this specific podcast is not to give you a bunch of stories, but to give you more facts and figures of what I know right now. Their website is ourrescue.org, OURRESCUE.org. And I will tell you that here's a place that you can go. If you will check out Lewis Howe's podcast and look for the one with Tim Ballard that was just done in June of 2020. It's about an hour long. It's phenomenal information. You can hear Tim's whole story and what they're actually doing. That podcast will actually provide more than I can provide you on this one. The reason for this one is to kind of wake you up, give you an option. If you want to get involved in saving some of these children, I'm going to tell you how to do it. And as the year goes on, I am going to touch base with everybody and let you know how we're doing with it, because we're in the process of partnering with Tim and his organization so that we can contribute and we can help save some of these children. It was to my horror to find out that there are literally 30 million slaves in our world today, and 10 million of them are children. According to Tim, There are more people in slavery today than any other one time in our history, in our world's history that we know of. Which I had no idea. Like this information, as the more I find out about it, the more I am both horrified at this information, and the more I am compelled from my soul to be part of helping stop it in any way that I possibly can. Here's another statistic. Child trafficking is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world. Human trafficking itself is $150 billion a year industry. And the sex part of it is a $35 billion a year industry. Now, you need to think about that. 150 billion, and the sex part of the human trafficking is 35 billion. 2 million children a year are forced into the commercial sex trade. The rest of those, because remember, I said there's 30 million slaves in the world today, 10 million of them are children, 2 million a year forced into the sex trade. Guess what the other 8 million are? The other 8 million turn into labor, slave labor, and organ harvesting. Okay. Now, you couldn't make this up. Go check it out yourself. I know these numbers might sound outrageous. You probably thinking to yourself, it can't be that big. It can't be that bad. I assure you, I have checked this out. I've done my homework on it. It absolutely is. And I know I'm a little bit late to the game here, but I just really found out how bad it actually is. I mean, I knew that it existed. I think everybody knows it exists to some degree. It's also such a dark topic that people kind of walk away from it. Like I've had conversations with a few people since I found out about it, and I get a blank look in the mirror coming back at me from these individuals. And I think that people are utterly shocked by it. I think that it strikes a horror chord inside of them. Everybody that I've talked to about this basically has children, and they can't imagine how horrific this must be. And I think there's a tendency to pull away, and that's why I want to bring light to it, because we can't pull away. This is unbelievably atrocious what is happening in our world. Now get at this, another statistic. The US is the number one consumer of child exploitation material in the world. And we're the top 3 destination countries for trafficking. We are in the top 3 of destination countries for trafficking. That means that people come here to get kids. That also means that we provide, according to Tim, across the board, except in some parts of Asia, most of the people that are going to other countries to either buy children or buy sex with children are from the United States. So this is something that's very, very fascinating. I mean, I really want to get into the research on this. Why are we turning out more pedophiles than virtually any other place in the world? How's this happening in the United States? Okay, here's a point to note. It's literally being sold on social media. Okay, Tim was talking about he has literally bought children off of every major social media site. Now, what I mean by bought children, please understand, that's how they rescue these children. They actually go in, they research, they hunt down, they find out who's doing it. They show up and engage with these people as if they're buying children. And of course, then it's a sting operation. And they rescue as many children as they possibly can. So this is happening not only on social media, but it's happening on the dark web. Tim also was he made a very stern warning. He said, do not go onto the internet and start typing in how to buy a sex slave or anything like that, because the government will flag you instantly, and you don't want that. You could go and learn more about it, but don't like type in how to do it or something like that. He said he warned Lewis Howe about it. I was listening to it and I'm like, okay, don't go down that road to find out more information. That would not be a good deal. So now, the the other part of this is that um, six. So let me see if I just want to make sure that I get this right. Because of COVID, and this is another one of the reasons why I wanted to get this information out to everybody, so that if you feel on your heart to help these kids, that you can do something now. We've created like an atomic bomb for the sex trade with COVID, and nobody really knows it, according to Tim Ballard. Here's the problem. The problem is that we've taken kids out of school. We've done two very, very dangerous things. We've taken kids out of school. The kids are at home. They're on their computers, and so are the pedophiles. Right now, as of the recording of this, okay, at the end of 2020, the deal is this. There have been 6 million more reports about kids being the victim of pedophiles than there were before COVID. So Tim is basically explaining that we're creating a very dangerous situation. There's a lot of other things to consider here about keeping kids out of school and keeping everybody at home. There's more to consider than everybody knows about. We know about the COVID crisis. We know about the information and the disagreements about how to handle it. We know all about that all too well, right? I mean, we've been hammered with it for months now. But what we don't know about is how with the after effects. I've spoken a little bit about the suicides, the drug abuse, the alcoholism, the depression, the abuse that's happening in families. I've spoken a little bit about that only from a matter of fact. But this is something that is different. Like we've literally created a feeding ground, and they're talking about it that way, according to Tim Ballard on the dark net. They're literally talking about it that way. That it is a happy hunting feeding ground for the pedophiles. The pedophiles are talking to each other, and they're literally being able to contact kids much easier because kids are spending a lot of time gaming. They're spending a lot of time in chat situations, and these pedophiles know how to infiltrate those places. A lot of parents are not educated about this. They have absolutely no idea that there's that many out there that are looking for their children. They don't know how bad this problem is. So as we move, we're really sitting in a lot of ignorance about what's going on. I have made it part of my life's mission to remove as much of this ignorance and be part of the movement to actually stop this worldwide. And I'm going to continue to do so the very best that I can. This horrifies me. This absolutely horrifies me. I cannot imagine what it must be like, one, for a family to lose a child, two, for a child to have to go through what they're going through. Tim was talking about how these kids literally, there's basically a couple situations that can happen here. One is that the kid could be rented for up to 50 to 75 times a day for sex, okay? Or the kid could be sold outright for around $15,000. You can buy a human fucking life for $15,000, if you can imagine that. A child. It's sickening. I mean, I don't even have all the words to describe how I feel, how horrified I feel about this situation, and how passionate I am to get this message out to as many people so that we can start doing something. My understanding is this, that it costs anywhere from $12,000 to $50,000 to rescue a child, depending on how extensive the operation actually is. It's not cheap. It is absolutely not cheap. It takes a tremendous amount of research. Tim's organization, by his own description, is not a vigilante organization. They partner with governments all around the world. The governments ask them to come in with all of their expertise. They're doing something that's never really been done before in this way. And one of the interesting things that I heard him talking to Lewis about was how he studied Harriet Tubman. And they're really studying the abolitionists of old and how they actually ran the railroads, where they had all these secret people that were hiding in plain sight that were helping rescue people. And they're taking a lot of information from that and how it actually worked, and they're applying it both physically and technologically in the rescue of these kids. So it's not It's no small feat. However, anything that a person contributes helps. It doesn't matter if you can contribute a lot or a little. I'm going to ask you to contribute. If you find that this is on your heart, that this story is as horrific to you as it is to me, if you have children, if you can relate in any way to how horrific that this would be for anybody, please go to ourrescue.org and find out how you can contribute to Tim's organization. They're making partnerships all over the world with donations and people that can donate either time or money or resources to be able to build it. Right now, according to what Tim was telling Lewis Howe, they literally have to tell some governments no, because they don't have the bandwidth or the finances to go everywhere at the same time. They have to pick the most strategic places that they can go, where their resources are going to serve the greatest need, and actually be able to, conduct these covert operations so that they can rescue these children. I mentioned it's between 12 and 50,000 to rescue a child. Now that was told to me third party, so I don't know that for 100% fact, but it was somebody that actually worked for the organization or does work for the organization that I got that information from. But I think that every little bit counts. Tim feels that he was definitely commissioned by God, if you will, to do this, that this was put on his heart. It was not his life's plan to do it. This popped up in the work that he was doing for our government, and he was horrified by it, and his wife was horrified by it, and they felt that they just could not turn away from it. They could not know what they know and find out what they found out and actually turn away from it. And like I said, the interview that he did with Lewis is pretty extensive. I really encourage you to go there and listen to it. Listen to the entire story. There was a movie that they put out in 2016 called The Abolitionists. I believe you can watch that on YouTube. And there's another movie coming out. I don't think it's been released yet. I haven't seen it. It's called The Sound of Freedom, and it should be coming out this year. Tim said that it was completed. It was done. It was in the can, and they were just waiting for a release date. Things got kind of botched with COVID. But there's stories about this problem that we're facing. And let's understand something. This is a worldwide problem. There's a couple of other pretty nasty numbers here that go with this that I want to share with you. As far as the organ harvesting goes, I remember growing up with the old joke, like, don't get drunk here or there. You wake up in a bathtub missing a kidney or something like that. I mean, I think we've all heard that joke and always wondered maybe how real actually is that. Probably does happen somewhere. But let me put it to you this way. One of the most profitable things these really screwed up people get is about $250,000 for a child's heart. $250,000 for a child's heart. And they have no problem killing a child and taking the child's heart and selling it on the black market, amongst many other different things. It's horrific. Here's another thing. Apparently, when you start to get into other countries, especially developing world countries, one of the problems is that the uneducated people that get preyed upon, the parents, if you will, they really don't know that their kids are being sold into sex slavery. Most of the time, the different schemes and scams that these people run actually make these parents think that they're going to go to a better place than what they can provide from them. And he tells many different stories that I would rather you hear from him and not me, because he's the one that's living it on the front line every day and doing this. My mission is just to take his message and get it out and help him get it out so that we can get as many of these kids back into some kind of a home and some kind of a life and begin the healing process, because it takes years and years and years to reverse the scarring, in their mind. In fact, he actually talked about that. He said that A doctor showed him a brain scan of a child that was in a car accident and a brain scan of a child that was molested for 5 years, and they looked almost exactly the same from a trauma perspective. And he said, this is scarring on the brain. This is scarring. And that, while the scarring can't be removed, it takes years and years to rewire the brain so that the person can actually function normally. And part of Underground Railroad is to get these kids into places where they can begin to heal and they begin getting education and get their needs met in a healthy way so that they can move on to some kind of a normal life. Anyway, I hope everybody has an amazing new year. I think that while this is a dark topic to start the new year off with, in my mind, it's a light topic because I think that we all need something that we can contribute to. This really touched my heart. I hope it touches yours as well. This is David Nagel. It's a hell of a topic. I plan to do more. I'm going to ask if you feel it on your heart to spread this around. Like, let's get as many people aware of this problem as we can, because if we can all do a little bit, maybe we can really end this atrocity that we have on this planet. Tell somebody about it. Share it. I would really appreciate it. Love you all. Thank you.